Hey everybody, I'm JJ Johnson. You're watching Reality Survival, and today I'm going to be answering a viewer's question. Jamie Pruitt asked for some advice on prepping with little to no money. So this is gonna be about addressing his situation and just from my perspective, kind of what my advice to him would be. Um, and I think it'll probably be some things that are applicable to a lot of people, especially those folks with, not a lot of extra money to spare and stuff. So let me read his thing here. He said, I need some advice. I know I need to start prepping, but I don't have the resources to even begin to start. It's all I can do to provide the basic needs for my family as we live paycheck to paycheck. Any advice would be appreciated because it's just a matter of time before SHTF. Okay, so the way I see this is, his question really doesn't have a lot to do with how to prep on a low budget. The issue is that he doesn't have any extra budget at all. So that's kind of what I'm going to try to address as much as I can. At least like four of these five things are probably related to that, and one of them is maybe more directly related to just trying to do something with a little bit of money. If you guys have any questions on this or suggestions that you'd like me to shout out or whatever the case may be, then stick them in all caps in the chat, and I'll do my best to get those out. So thank you guys for joining. Hey, Gary, DB, Sandra, Rob Nord, John Lord, and Thrifty VG. Appreciate you guys being here. Okay, so the first thing is, and obviously I don't know any more about the situation than what he gave me in the comment there. So I can't be specific to his situation. So I'm speaking in generalities, and this would be my advice in general for people who are looking to make a change in their financial situation so that they can do more to start prepping for their family. So number one is read and heed Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. You really need to get out of debt if you have any debt, and most people in the country do. So I'm assuming that you do too. Along with this, and in this process, and Dave talks about this in his book, you need to identify wants versus needs. Electricity is a need. You need to have electricity in your home. You need to pay your rent or your mortgage. But you don't have to have a car payment. You don't have to have even a cell phone, really. Do you need a home phone? Do you have to have cable TV? A lot of these things people have, but they don't necessarily need. So you really have to get serious about trimming down the things that you want versus things that you need. And those may be temporary things. You may not have to do without whatever the case may be for forever. It might just be for a couple of years or for a year or so or whatever until you get your financial situation squared away. But and the other thing here is, and this is all part of what his book talks about too, live on a budget. Make your money work for you. Don't, if you're not living on a budget and you're not planning where your money is going to go before you have your paycheck and you're not writing that down and sticking to it, you're not being serious with your finances. Okay, so the next thing on this particular point here is if you follow his plan in that book, it's called the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. It will change your life. No question about it. It's proven techniques. It's common sense financial handling that has made many people wealthy, and on limited incomes as well. So there's no excuse that it can't work, and it does work. So the next thing is, let me see if I missed anything here. No, I didn't see a missing thing. Okay, the next thing is, and I don't know, like I said, too much about the situation, but consider relocating to a lower cost of living location, or relocating to take a better job somewhere, or something along those lines. Now, I understand that a lot of people feel like they're trapped. They can't move. They have all their family here. They have, whatever the case may be. But more times than not, that's just not true. You can move. You can change your situation. Um, you just have to be willing to do that, and that's part of the thing. Is a lot of people, when they're in situations where they don't have a lot of money, and I've been in tight situations with money. I mean, I was an enlisted airman for a long time, so I understand what it means to live paycheck to paycheck. But you get into a mindset that you're trapped in your current situation and you can't do anything, and that mindset needs to be changed. That may be your biggest problem, is that you need to change your mindset, because the person that is most able to make better changes for your life, or good changes for your life, is you. And you know, you have to figure out what that is for your situation. You got to figure out how to make your situation better, and then start taking steps outwardly to do that. So don't live in fear, and don't, feel like you can't make big changes in your life, because you definitely can do that. Um, so the next one, number 3 on my list here, is start getting serious about using coupons and putting back just a little extra food and a gallon of water each week. Um, you know, a 1 or 2 pound bag of rice doesn't cost a lot, a couple of bucks, at most. A couple pounds of kidney beans don't cost a lot. You know, an extra can of soup per week. You should be able to um, put together enough money each week to do something small like that. Maybe you get serious in coupons, and you do buy one get one free kind of stuff. If you really put a lot of effort into it, there's a lot of different stuff that you can find online in your local papers, all those kinds of things. And there's ways that you can get some additional food, to put back into your preps each week. Um, a gallon of water costs 67 cents. Do you drink Starbucks each week? Do you pay $4 for a cup of coffee? You could take that $4, buy some rice, some beans, and a gallon of water, and put that back, and you're doing better than 80% of America, probably, right there. Um, there's, do you smoke cigarettes? There's things that you can cut out. In most people's life, most people don't live in a bare essentials kind of situation where you can't make some changes to make things better. That's my opinion. There might be people out there, and maybe you're one of them, but it's not very typical. Also, start budgeting for the purchase of a basic firearm. $250 will get you a basic. You can get a shield. You can get a Taurus, G2. There's some very basic firearms that are fairly cheap. Now, $250 might take a while to save up, but if you're not budgeting that in, to your weekly budget, then it's not going to ever happen. So you have to start allowing for those things. You have to start planning where you want your money to go, and do it a little bit at a time. Maybe you can only do $10 a week. Okay, well, in 20 weeks, 25 weeks, or whatever the case may be, then you'd have a firearm. It might take some time, but here's the thing. There's not some imminent rush. Things are going okay right now. We live actually in the best time in history, believe it or not. I know it seems like we don't, but we do. And by almost every measurable standard that we have, right now is the best time in history to ever live. And you have the most opportunity. There's, 7.5 million jobs in the United States alone that are unfilled right now. And that kind of leads me into this to the fourth one. Start looking for a side hustle or a second job. Take a newspaper route, take a whatever the case may be, deliver pizzas at night, drive for Uber in the evenings, and on weekends. There's lots of different things. I don't necessarily know what it may be for your situation in your area. Maybe it's just if you live in a rural area, maybe you're working for another farmer, slopping stalls, cleaning out mucking stalls for horses at a horse border, or, feeding animals, or bucking hay, or, there's a lot of different things you can do to make extra money. Because, if you've only got one full-time job, there's a lot more hours in the week. You just have to work more. And that's hard. That's especially if you have a labor-intensive job, it's difficult. But the hard work that you put in now will pay off in the long run. Along the lines, and it's still in here in the number 4s, looking for a side hustle, looking for a second job, use your VA benefits if you're a veteran. Go back to school, go online. If you're young enough, join the military. A lot of great benefits, pretty good pay and stuff like that. It's better than it used to be, that's for sure. Maybe you need to learn a trade or seek an apprenticeship with someone, or comes right down to it, maybe find something that you're interested in and teach yourself how to do it. You have the world at your fingertips with the internet, okay? And teach yourself how to do something and then find a way to monetize it. Like with me, my side hustle is YouTube. I had some knowledge and some experience in survival and prepping, and so I've turned that into a business to where I can make some money at it, and it helps support my family's prepping efforts. So there's a lot of things that you could do, and I think every single person has untapped potential inside of them. There's something that you're good at. There's something that you're really good at, and you need to figure out what that is, figure out what you like doing, what you're good at, and figure out a way to monetize it. There's a lot of books and stuff that talk about this, but I think that's a key thing. So the last one here is number 5 is work harder. And obviously I don't know anybody's individual situation, like I've said several times, but be a better employee. If can you do an honest assessment of yourself and say that you give 100% effort all the time when you're at work. The idea here is you want to make it clear to your boss that you're the person that deserves a raise more than anybody else at your job. The best and most talented people, most talented employees are usually not the people who are paid the least. So if you're on the bottom side of the pay scale at your particular place of employment, maybe you need to work harder. And I'm not saying that applies necessarily to anybody, but it might. And that's not to say that the highest paid people are the best, but as a general rule, our society rewards competence. That's a general statement, and Jordan Peterson talks about this in his 12 Rules for Life book, and it's a very good book. And it is true that in general our society rewards competence. We have competency hierarchies within our culture, and so become competent at your job. Work really, really hard at your job. So those are my 5 tips. I hope that maybe it'll inspire you to make a change, to do something. We have here in Cheyenne, they've been trying to hire people for over a year now, and their starting wages at the Walmart warehouse are $18 an hour. Okay, I mean that's pretty decent starting wage. So there's jobs out there. If your job is not cutting it, if you can barely feed your family on your job, find another job. There's got to be something. Maybe you need to move to take it, but you got to do what you got to do. So That's just my suggestion for you. I hope that it's useful. Now I'm gonna go here and check the chat. Sorry guys, I've been getting through my little spiel here. Let's see. Yeah, John Lord suggested taking a look at the LDS Family Center. They have some pretty reasonable number 10 cans and basic stocks. And I've done a video on that, I think, too. They're a pretty decent place to go. Um, but I think with this particular issue, with the comment that was made, the problem isn't so much of how to find cheap food and cheap water and all those kinds of things. It's like he said, he can barely feed his family as it is. So really, the thing that needs to happen is a mindset change. It's a he needs to develop the wherewithal to change his situation for the better, and just to make that happen. Okay. All right. Yeah. MBG says I stockpile with sales and coupons, and then I can wait and get the items at the best price. That's a perfect way to go about it. Um, DB Cooper says he likes Goodwill. That's a possibility too if you've got some money. So Gary Zier, he says I haven't worked in 5 years and I was able to store 6 months of food, 1 can at a time. So that's awesome. And that's what it takes. Like, I think there's a lot of people that really believe that um, I'm just laughing at DB's comment. He says, teach the Lord Humongous how to be as cool as you are." That's funny. He's got way better hair than I do, though, right? What was I saying? I missed it. Now you lost. Yeah, DB, you made me lose my train of thought. Dang it. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, and Thrifty VG says keep the job you have while you're looking for a new job. Absolutely. There's no reason to quit until you're ready to make that move. You know what I mean? William, he asked, how's the Kodiak working out? Do you still use it all the time? Yes, it's working out great. I do use it all the time. I've used it less during the winter time because I'm not out, and we're getting like another 3 to 5 inches of snow here in tomorrow, basically. So, and we got some snow last night. So, spring has not even still sprung here in Cheyenne yet, but I do use the Kodiak. It is a great tool. I haven't had 0 issues with it, and I do think that the Apex is probably going to be a better product. I wasn't real happy with the way that Energy did their conversion to the Apex. A lot of stuff that you guys wouldn't notice. It was more on the backside, stuff that I had to deal with, changing their affiliates and different things. And, I definitely wasn't so happy with that. But the product itself is really a good tool. I really do believe so. It's just nice to have, something to have all that power right there ready to go that'll last for, a good considerable time. Especially if you have a regular generator or something, maybe you just use the Kodiak as a fill gap until you get your generator set up and stuff if you're caught off guard. And if you have solar panels with it, renewable energy, it's going to last a long time, and you can just recharge it up every day and use it as it's charging even still. So it's pretty cool. And the new Apex actually charges faster, so that's good too. So all right. Yeah, so Dr. Prepper Survival says buy one get one and put the second one away, and that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier with the the coupons and stuff. Yeah, rotation is important if you're not storing foods that have a really long shelf life. Then rotation is important. Personally, I don't think that, like, when you're putting up, like kidney beans and rice and stuff like that, that rotation is really that important. You've got like at least a 30-year shelf life on those things. So trying to rotate through that is kind of silly, in my opinion. But if you're doing cans of soup and different things that have a shorter shelf life, then you absolutely want to rotate. So Melissa Kerrigan, she says, I'm on disability and I built a house and outbuildings with pallets. Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, I did a documentary, a short documentary on some homeless folks living in Woodbridge, Virginia, and I got to go back into some of their hooches that they built and stuff like that out of pallets and tarps and all different kinds of things like that, and it was pretty impressive. It was really, I mean, honestly, it was pretty impressive. They got carpet scraps and stuff and put things together, and they especially this one hooch that I went into. This guy had a decent little place. It really wasn't bad. That's totally off the subject, but yeah, you can do a lot with even just pallets. Cool. So what do we got coming up here? We got the EMP shields for the cars came in. Oh, it's on a little board here. I can't really get to it. Oh, maybe I can. So I'm going to be doing a video showing how to install that. I've also talked to my electrician buddy. He's going to come over. We're going to show installing, one of these EMP shields on the house. And let's see, what else we got? Oh, we got a battle box that we got to take a look at. I've also got some reviews coming up on the primary arms optics that I have. Probably also a review on the Aspen air rifle. And what else? Oh, MSR water filter. Got a lot of stuff. I just got to make time. I've been spending a lot of time recently fixing my back porch back here, making it into a screened-in porch, and that was a kind of a bitch. These timbers are 4x6 timbers. They're treated 4x6 timbers, and 16 feet long, and they weigh about 150 pounds each. So it's heavy work. All right, what else are we missing here? Making shelves and picks for sanitation. Huh, that's interesting. So Melissa says, I spent under $10,000 for screws and metal, and the house appraised for $118,000 when prices was down. Don't give up, books. You can do it if I did. Wow, that's interesting. So she built a whole real house out of pallets. That's pretty cool. I was thinking you were talking about more like a shack or something, but sounds like you went all out. That's pretty awesome. Let me know what you guys, if you guys have got suggestions for videos, what you would like to hear me talk about, what you would like to, have me research or focus on or something like that. I'd be curious to know. I have a long list of videos, and I've got I don't know, probably a handful from viewer generated stuff that has been suggested, but nothing that's really like got me excited to do, so I'd be interested if you guys have any additional suggestions and all that kind of stuff. Oh, here's an interesting thought. Dr. Pepper's Survival says, volunteered at a food bank, asked about the expired and damaged cans they tossed, and got 3 buggies full. Think outside the box. Yeah, there's a possibility. I mean, there are also, like you said, food banks that you could go to. If you truly are struggling to feed your family, then perhaps you could go to a food bank and see about getting, some food or something along those lines. VTX Rudy says, do a video on how to deal with corpses. I know a little bit about that. I'll definitely have to research that some more though, because there's kind of two lines of thought on dealing with corpses, and one is that there's going to be a lot of problems with disease and all those kinds of things, and then the other is no, there's really not. But um, SHTF Hunter, what's going on, man? He says I could use some tips. Well, what do you need tips on, man? I don't have my psychic hat on today. Let's see. Yeah, Melissa says people who aren't struggling go to the food bank, so just go ahead and go. Do one on my nuke preps. Yeah, I mean, I have some pretty basic stuff when it comes to nuke preps. It's not something that, basic gas masks, some Tyvek, and different personal protective equipment and stuff. But it's not really something that I worry a lot about. Just with my job working in the nuclear industry and with the DoD in the nuclear field and dealing with the nuclear enterprise, it doesn't concern me a lot. Let's just put it that way. I just don't really think it's a problem. So MBG says, have you done a video on pandemics, supplies needed, and instructions? I haven't done a full video on pandemics, and that's probably a good one to do. I'll take a picture of both of those real quick. Because I have a terrible memory. So if I don't take a picture of it or keep some kind of reminder on my phone, then I'll forget. I do have I don't know if it's fairly comprehensive, but I have a pandemic kit that I kind of put together as far as it's sort of a combination between sanitation and pandemic, because there's kind of a lot of bleed over between those kinds of kits and stuff like that, I think. But I could do a video on that. It's probably a boring video because like I try not to do those videos where you're just taking a big tote and being like, here's what I got in here, because they're not really all that exciting. But it's a good idea, so I will take it. Let's see. Chernobyl. A lot of people think that there's this problem with nuclear power plants, and that if there's an EMP, that nuclear power plants are going to melt down and everybody's going to die. And that's just not true. This is one of the videos that said I love that shirt. Thanks. You can get it in Teespring down below. I'm not real creative on shirt ideas like the Lord Humongous, but I think this is kind of funny. Your feelings offend me. Let's see. Yeah, nuclear power plants. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time, and it's kind of a complicated subject, so it's a little bit difficult to explain in a way that makes it easy to understand. And that's why I haven't gotten around to it yet. But essentially, there are multiple backups in place so that you don't have to worry about power plants melting down. Could there be some radiation loss? Yes, there could be some radiation loss, but it's not going to be this. If you watched The 100, prime fire, it's not going to be this huge ecological catastrophe and all that kind of stuff. Really, you're only talking about affecting an area of probably 5 to maybe 10 miles around the reactor itself. Fukushima wasn't built to the same standards that we have here in the United States, and there was a lot of problems with that actual reactor. But anyway, Dad on YouTube says, what did he say here? He says timeline on backup. So what do you mean, Dad on YouTube? He has a channel also. You guys can check it out. No. Gary says he's 40 miles from a nuclear power plant. Am I going to die? No, you're not. You're not going to die. You're fine, man. I mean, if you're downwind, you could have some issues if you're downwind from where the prevailing winds are there at that distance. But Unlikely, unlikely. It's really, really fairly well contained to, like I said, 5 to 10 mile area for the most part. Um, and there is some there's primarily two types of reactors in the United States, and so there's some differences between the different ones, but um, for the most part, you're not going to have any problems. How long can the plant last on backup systems? So the backup systems don't even really matter. So I don't have a clear answer to give you on that. They do have diesel generators and stuff like that, and backup systems and whatnot. However, um, what's up, Bumblebee? Um, the backup systems are not required to activate the systems that they have in place that keep them from melting down. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't really make a difference. Um, they don't depend on the generators and everything like that. And I'll give you just a 3 second explanation to a 4 hour answer is that essentially the plants are made in such a way that if the power fails and is no longer there, they automatically will go into a shutdown procedure that entails a flooding of the area to keep the rods cool and all that kind of stuff. So it's not the system without power will naturally go to a cool down type of mode. If I can, that's the like I said, the real quick explanation. Okay. I like turtles. You guys say some of this silliest stuff in here. All right. Just trying to catch up on the comments here. Video on water purification using the sun's UV rays. Already did that. It's called the SODIS method, solar disinfection. You can check that out. Just put in SODIS method reality survival, and it should pop right up. Pretty easy stuff. Yeah, DB, this is important what he says here, and this is I've talked about this in my how to start prepping video. Do a threat assessment of your local area. That's huge. Knowing what area you live in and what the threats are around you and all that kind of stuff is important. And it's really one of the first things that you need to do because, if you live downwind from a chemical factory, you need to know that because you need to prep, gas masks and respirators and whatever you would have to have if that plant released all that dangerous stuff. That's a bigger deal to you than maybe, I don't know, whatever, I mean, that's a potential problem for you. So you would want to, have focus on that a little bit more. But again, if you live in an area that's prone to forest fires or that's whatever, you just got to take a look at it and be, Bumblebee says, I think you should group your videos into DVDs and sell them. Yeah, I thought about that before. The problem is nobody has a DVD player anymore. Hell, people don't even have Blu-ray players anymore. That's an old ass technology, you know what I mean? And with video, I have 750 videos or so, somewhere close to that. I mean, it would take a lot of DVDs to fit all those on there. But you know what? I just kind of want it for free. I want everything to be out there for free. That's why I don't do like a Patreon or any of that kind of stuff. I would just rather. He says he still has a Walkman. You're a goofball, man. But yeah, I just rather have folks be able to pull it up. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen some of the older stuff that I've done, I mean, go back and look through it, at the page and at the channel there and check it out. There's a lot of stuff out there. So thank you, DB. He says he'd donate to me. I appreciate that, but it's not necessary. Foot says a beta player. He says. VCRs, really? I mean, that's like, hey, the black box. Yeah, the party can start now that the black box is here with us. What's going on, man? So, Atari 2600. Yes, Acer Rubrum videotapes are old school. So Selko's book is a good book. I think that it's a perspective. I think that's important to remember. It's a perspective based on where he was at and the lessons that he learned, and that doesn't necessarily mean that all the things that he says are going to apply here or other places. But there's definitely a lot of good information that can be learned from it for sure. Um, collector's edition, only 33 DVDs. That's about how many it would probably be. You guys are funny, man. Okay, well, I don't really know what else to say here. I was really just going to talk about the 5 things there, and hopefully that's motivation to start, trying to get some changes there. Back in the 3-channel days, yeah, ABC, NBC, and CBS. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for the $1. Appreciate that, man. You don't need to do that. Really don't. Liberal muffler. He's got a picture of a bottle. The other thing, how long have we been going now? Maybe I'll talk a little bit about this during this one. No, I'll save it for another night. So somebody was asking me about what can we do to save the current system, to keep it from collapsing, and to ensure that we have conservative values being represented and stuff like that. Yeah, VTX Rudy, you can make me a mixtape, man. Go right ahead. And so a buddy of mine in the community here in a local area who's pretty involved with prepping and firearms training and different things like that. We've kind of sat down, we're talking about this, and I think that there is stuff that can be done. And so I'll do another live stream talking about that and just some ideas for potentially organizing in your local area and trying to influence things through the political system so that we don't have to try to influence things through any kind of violence or anything like that. So we'll do another live stream on that one. But anyhow, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I don't want to just ramble on and not say anything of any importance. So as always, I definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button and when you share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we will see you on another video shortly, guys. Take care.